Hi there, Marta Locklear here with another Refine Co editing tutorial. Today we're bringing you something a little different. Most of our videos are light and bright, airy, ethereal, but we had Nerea Robles reach out to us and was looking for inspiration on how to use Refine Co presets to edit a little more dark and moody. We have a nice little cult following of users that mostly documentary style photographers that do edit a little dark and moody. Our presets do lean that way. We just don't have as many people that shoot that way these days. But she sent over these inspiration images. Let me show you this one here. Oh, wrong one. This group of images, and she's like, this is her ideal tone. This matches her film work that she shoots. Definitely deeper, softer, cooler tones, beautiful work. So I was immediately inspired to take on the challenge to turn her digital photography into this look with the current collections that we have. So I dug through all of Refine Co's presets and landed on Refine times KT Mary's collection because I have two presets in there called Ambient 1 and Ambient 2. They're in the nighttime collection, but that's because they are usually used on images that are either slow shutter or underexposed intentionally to give that slow shutter film look. So as you can see, a lot of this is kind of indoor, very dark or very low light situations, which would also lend to a slower shutter and cooler tone, a little more grain and grit. So we're going to go ahead and work, oh, wrong collection. We're going to go ahead and, oh my gosh, I can't not click on the right thing. Going to go ahead and work on Refine times KT Mary's collection, and these are the two presets we're probably going to lean on. I believe Ambient 2 is the one that fits the cooler tones, but I want to show you guys how to take this collection of images she sent us down here and turn it into this. And we're going to keep this up on the side as a reference image. So as we're adjusting white balance, is because that's the #1 thing that's going to help us get in this direction, and then allow the preset to do the work in the shadows and the highlights. So let's go ahead and get started and make a little bit of moody magic here. Let's go ahead and start with this image because I feel like this is a fun one to start with because there's such an extreme contrast between her inspo and the image itself. I'm going to lean on this image as my inspiration for tones because I feel like we're going to need some warm skin tone, but we're going to want to cool this down, and I think you guys are going to be impressed with how quickly this happens. So first thing I want to do, because it's very warm, I'm going to allow Lightroom to get me started on the white balance. So I'm going to go ahead and hit auto, and look at that. Automatically, we are like probably 90% close to the white balance that we're going to need for this image. Already, without even using the preset, we have a warmish skin tone. You can see it in here. It's nice and dark, so it's hard to tell. I'm not going to be lifting the exposure as much as we normally do. And then we're looking for the preset to hopefully give us this lifted shadow look and the cooler tones in the shadow. So let's go ahead and run. I'm going to go ahead and click on both just so you guys can see the difference between them. So there's Ambient 1 and here's Ambient 2. And Ambient 2 definitely gives us that coolish green, warm-ish tone that we see in the shadows of these images. You can see them in all of these. They're interior shots with good strong light. And so we're going to do that. So let's go ahead, lift just a tiny bit. And we're still going to play with that contrast. I'm going to lift so we can see her skin a little more, but allow the image to stay deep. And then I feel like that we're going to cool it down just a touch more, get those shadows kind of in this area. And see, I just keep referencing it visually. I'm going back and forth and just feeling like I've got the same tones. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open the HSL panel and we'll see if we can push her skin up a little just to kind of get that little boost of that orange that we're seeing here. She has less light on her than this image here. So we're going to just sit here and tweak with it and see if we can get a little more of that. But I don't want it to be overblown either. I don't want too much. I want enough that we're getting that warmth that we see in the inspiration image there. Let me see if I can maybe lift. See, I want to lift this area, but I don't want to lift too much on the outside so we can keep the mood that we're looking for there. And then maybe pull these blacks down a little to get the shadows a little flatter. And let me show you the side by side. And there you go. So that's the first image using our reference image. I clicked on the wrong, where are we at? Here we go. And then from there you can add, any film grain depending on how hard you want the grain to be. The 3200 softens the image up even and puts a lot of grain in. Now because it's a low light image, it probably has some grain built in, which it does, but it's very fine. So if you want to kind of chunk that up a little bit, you can add either of these two grains onto the image itself. Let's go ahead and keep going. I'm going to do this one for another complete contrast look, and keeping our inspiration images up. And same thing, this one's warmer and more magenta. So I'm just going to go ahead and put on the preset first and bring down the mood, cool it down, push in the contrast, and then maybe pull back some of the magenta. And there we have the same tones and feel. And then if we add the 3200 on, it gives us that nice kind of grit soft look because it even softens the image up. So it takes that hardness. Let me show you quick. I'll show you the 400H. You can see the detail in the hair. And then once I put 3200 on, we lose it and it gets that really soft look on it. And then your before and after. And let's go back to this. Let's go ahead and keep rolling through them so we can show you how we work with these. So for this one, you actually have a couple options because the Refined Times Katie Mary collection is based off of her Fujifilm, but she shoots a lot. She shoots, morning to sundown. So our collection is built to kind of hit all the different tones that Fujifilm hits, which is your cooler tones, your slow shutter, your warm skin, cooler shadows, your warm shadows, cooler tones, so we have a variety in here. So some of these presets actually work really well on, say, this daylight image. It's not quite the indoor dark and moody, so you may want to find a balance in there. And you can see as I click through these, some of these actually hit the right tones that we're looking for because the image itself already had it. So normally on this image, most of us would go in and warm it up, maybe add some magenta. So for the case of this photographer, we're going to keep the tones cool and more muted and subtle and keep the contrast in there and really vibe with her overall inspiration that she was going for. So there we go. We just kind of pulled out that extra warmth and all we did was hit the preset and adjust the white balance. And then we go back to her inspiration portfolio and we're in the same ballpark. And from there, you could lift a little if you wanted and adjust here and there. So let me go ahead and try something else. Just do a quick, show you how quick this is. I mean, it's almost instant. I honestly wouldn't have to do anything else to this. It's one click edit. Same thing. I think this was another real quick one, just so I can pop through these for you guys. One click edit. And let's go ahead and do this one since we have some warmth on it. Let's get my reference image back up. And you can see instantly we start getting the nice warms that we're looking for and then the cooler shadows. And then from there you can kind of pull out a little more of that extra warmth, maybe even mood him up a little bit. Pull back some of the contrast for a little bit of the flatter shadows, so it's not so high contrast. This image is probably the most contrasted of everything she sent us. So some of that is just the environment it was shot in, how it was shot. So you can kind of tweak it a little bit. If you like a high contrast, just crank it up. If not, pull it back and maybe even pull up the blacks a little. So there's a few ways we can attack that. But instantly we have those nice golden warms and the cool tones that we're looking for in the shadows. Go ahead and play with a couple others. So one click of ambient 2, pull the exposure down, and let the preset do the work from there. You want to keep a little bit of that warmth in. So this one I'm kind of leaning on this image for my tones. And let me show you the before and after. There you go. And let's go ahead and do another one. This one will be fun because it's a nice and warm image. Let's go ahead and see what Lightroom says maybe a little more magenta than I would like, but I'm going to go ahead and tweak that out as I adjust. So let's pull out some of that magenta, maybe even add a little bit of warmth in so we get that this is sunlight coming in here. You kind of go both ways with it. So say if we use this image as the inspiration for that, you know, we could cool that white down quite a bit, and you've got the blue reflection here. You know, it just depends on which mood you were going for this shoot. But for this one, I'm going to kind of meet in the middle. I want to see that this is a warm light coming into a cool space. So I'm kind of leaning between probably these three images when I'm referencing them. And I highly recommend using reference images, especially if you're trying to hit a specific vibe or look, whether it's from your own portfolio or if you're just starting out and you're using inspiration from another portfolio. You're like, these are the tones I'm going for. The best way to train your eye is to actually start, you know, seeing the tones side by side, and it's the quickest way to get your references when you are trying to color match. Let's go ahead and put 3200 on this to soften things up a little. We can even pull back the contrast. You can even pull back the shadows, so you can really kind of mood this up as much as you like. And here's your side by side. I'm actually going to take that off real quick. Let's add a touch and kind of meet in the middle there. And there you go. And then I'm just going to keep playing because I'm really having a good time doing this. It's fun. It's just something different. I edit the same way all the time, so it's nice to kind of play with these different tones and kind of get in a different vibe. And again, just allowing those cool tones to kind of appear. I'm actually going to push a little more warmth in this. And here's your side by side. And let's go ahead and do, there's another one. Let's go ahead and play with a little bit of these black and white or desaturated looks. So Refined Times KT and Mary black and white presets have several versions. 3200 works really nice for these files because she likes them really, really low light and deep. I'm going to lift the shadows just a little, or the blacks. And allow just those tiny bits peek through here. This is the man with the kilt, so you can actually see his kilt here. So want to lift that up just a little bit. And you can actually pull these down, the highlights down as well, to bring that in and to create even more mood. And that gives us kind of this vibe right in here. So if we wanted to maybe work on this look, we would go back over to our ambient. There we go. And we're going to find the balance between cooling it down and adding in the magenta. And then I think that we would, you can see that's almost identical tones to this right here. We have some green in here that we don't see in the other image, so you could easily just kind of yank that out. And let's go ahead and do this to cut that and just kind of find your balance there. Let's go ahead, let's do this one. And go ahead and go with ambient. And it's seriously almost one click. You can see those tones all come to life. I'm going to show you before and after. I haven't even adjusted white balance yet. So from there, you would just tweak. If you wanted to warm up his skin just a little bit, you could push the orange in there. It's very similar to her reference image. And there you go. So that was nearly a one-click edit, and you get those nice, cool, moody tones. Let's go ahead and do this one. Let's see what we can do. I haven't played with this one yet because these are newer files. So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to do the contrast to cut through a little bit of that haze. I don't want to cut too much. I think I'm actually going to push her skin a little bit. There you go. And let's go ahead and do this one. This will be the last one for today. If you guys want to see more of these kind of creative edits, please let me know in the comments below because we would love to do more of them. I have fun being challenged with edits like this and figuring out ways to achieve them, not only successfully but quickly. And I also think it shows just how versatile the collections are, that they can really go a lot of different directions. We really try to make these presets very versatile so you can kind of find your own vision and your own voice. And we would love to do more of them. So comment below what kind of other videos you would like to see that are outside of our normal edits. And then for this one, just kind of keep tweaking. I'm tweaking while I'm talking. And here's the before and after. And all I did was ambient 2, white balance, and a little bit of shadow tweaking in here, just to make sure we kept those warm skin tones and cool greens in the shadows. Thank you guys for following along. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. And again, comment below. We would love to hear from you and give us some ideas on some new videos you want to see. Thanks.